You ready? Call the meeting to order of the May 13th, 2025 Board of Supervisors with the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks, Al. Okay, does anyone wish to amend or approve the agenda as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. Discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The agenda is approved. Anyone wish to correct or question or amend the minutes of the 2025 meeting of the Board of Supervisors?
On the first page, down under, it says Chairman Geller disclosed in an executive session, it says discuss personnel issues. It's the only change I have.
Okay. Do we have it, Christie?
No, I was listening to the echo. Sorry.
On the first page, down under the first bolded item, starts out with Chairman Naylor, and the second
Yes. Yep.
says personnel prior, word issues is missing.
Ah. Okay.
Any other additions or corrections?
Oh, sorry, one other one, down in public comments, from Lake Roadhouse, it has at the light twice.
Okay.
That should do it for me.
Any, Darrell?
Make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Second the motion. Discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. And with that being said, the board did have executive session prior to the night's meeting, and we discussed personnel and litigation matters. And we will be having one at the end of the meeting as well, correct, Attorney Miller?
You'll be having it before the end of the meeting.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I gotcha. Okay. Okay, at this time, the board will entertain any comments from citizens, any at all. If you do have comments, please come up to the microphone and touch the
face.
The face. It has like the thing coming out of its mouth, and your microphone will turn. Yes, you got it.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Lowe, and I'm from Saginaw, and I'm here for multiple reasons. One of it's on the agenda later. This one is an issue I talked to Christy about regarding our mailing address in Saginaw. Christy, have you gotten anywhere with any that we can discuss that from there? My third issue is at Starview, where the stop sign is coming out towards where you turn to go down South Road. You're familiar with the address. That is becoming an extremely dangerous intersection. I just had an incident within the past month where I was coming from Saginaw. I made the return stop moving and looked, and there was a white mini SUV of some sort next to me.
may, Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
Ma'am,
Yes,
those roads you're talking about are PennDOT roads.
I assumed that they were,
Yeah.
but, I don't know if the township can make, recommendations to,
We can
whatever
try.
that you guys need to do, but is it gonna take somebody pulling out and getting T-boned and
Right.
ultimately losing a life over a serious,
you have
more
those
and
roads
more
down
people
there.
have moved
You
in town
have
at
those
Asbury
roads.
Point. More and more
Yeah.
people are using that road than they ever had in the past, and they do not realize that that is not a straight through.
Well, if you could help us out, because I might end up doing the same thing, you can go on to PennDOT's website. And they have a term for people now.
Okay,
Please fill it out, 'cause
Okay.
the more we can send in for that intersection, the better off we are.
okay,
If that makes sense.
And we will remind the police department that we still need enforcement down there.
they are there a lot,
Okay,
they're there a good bit.
all right.
Everybody knows, everybody that lives there kind of knows that they're there, but.
Yeah, and,
Sorry, just one question if I may.
yeah, go ahead.
Shane, is that the 800 Fix-A-Road thing that you're talking about?
Yeah, you can call, Mark actually tried to call it today. No one's available when they hung up on him.
Okay, so
Seriously,
that works.
But I have, hold on 1 second. I have it right here. Customer care at PennDOT.gov.
Okay.
And you can find it if you Google PennDOT, sort of form or whatever. You're better off using that.
And personally, I'd like to thank the Lowe family for allowing this kid to spend summers down at the pool. Okay? It's a big part of my,
Yeah, you know what? That would take what it looks like now. With the sewage treatment plant behind it.
things aren't the same, huh? Anyone else like to make a comment?
Hello, everybody. Suzanne Eisenhower, still fighting for my property.
You're gonna-
Trailers are still,
You're not going to make me cry tonight, are you?
well, it depends.
Okay.
I'm gonna cry if I don't get taken care of.
Yes, yes.
So, I was notified that all the signs at PennDOT orders are in, so hopefully get results this week. Kudos to WGAL, I don't know if everybody saw it, but I think they did a fabulous job.
They did.
Very good. It has slowed down somewhat, but it hasn't stopped. They're still coming across, and like PennDOT said in the interview, once they put all the signs up, Gary Ishman told me the goal is no turning at that intersection whatsoever. That's the goal. They can go back and forth straight across Musser, to Zions View or out to George Street. But again, if the police don't enforce it, it's not gonna stop. I see him out there occasionally, write a ticket or two, because I have cameras everywhere in front of my house. It's not that often that I write tickets. So my question is maybe can it be brought up at the police meetings? Do they have them monthly, weekly? Where are they? Can I attend them?
Yes, you can. We have one next Wednesday night.
Okay.
Do you have your calendar?
It's, yeah. I don't have one.
Yeah, we changed it to Wednesday nights. It's going to be at the York,
The 21st is next Wednesday.
21st. It's on Oak Street in Spry.
It's Friday.
Yeah. Yeah. Make a left, go back towards the York Township Park, and then
Oh, okay.
used to be the old York Township.
Campbell's
Municipal.
Music signs sitting
Oh,
out there.
gotcha.
That's where you turn left.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Next Wednesday?
Yes,
What
at
time does
6.
that start?
6.
6 o'clock.
6, yeah.
Okay. So the other thing is I am gonna put up my 5 cement post. Hopefully that will take place Sunday because the weather's supposed to be cooperative. Hopefully that's gonna slow them down or something, because they're gonna take out 5 of them, they're gonna have some damage to their trucks. So, I spoke with PennDOT, they encouraged me to put barricades or whatever I have up there, just as long as they're not out in the road. And the other thing is, if they keep damaging my property and this keeps costing me money, I mean, is there any kind of property tax
because it's my property, I pay my taxes, and they're ruining it. So why are they allowed to do that and just, I mean, because what I'm gonna do this weekend is probably gonna cost me between $550 and $750. I had to order 35 bags of concrete to go to the house. I bought the posts, they were delivered, and they were used, but, I have to rent an auger, I had to have PA on call come out and mark everything out. I'm not gonna stop, I won't let them keep just running.
I understand.
And I appreciate everything that you all have done, I really do, and I understand there's only so much you can do, because like you told the young lady before me, it's state road, it's PennDOT's road. So, it flatters me that they're not worried about their road being all tore up and broke up and everything else. It's getting worse. And there's some kind of drain under there. There's some kind of cement pipe under there. I mean, pretty soon that's going to get hit and collapsed and whatever. So, those are just my thoughts.
I have a question. Are you putting the bollard, where are you putting the bollards at?
On the corner there of my property, not out on the road, where they're coming across my driveway. They're a good 5-6 feet into my yard now. It's ridiculous.
Attorney Miller, from a permit standpoint, would you agree that this would need a permit from us or no?
What would the permit be for?
Well, it sounds like she wants to put up 5 bollard posts at the corner of York and Musser. And you're saying not within the right of way, correct?
Not within the roadway. I went over it with PennDOT.
Okay.
They acted like I didn't need any kind of permit or anything.
Well, from their standpoint, but then from the municipality, from a zoning standpoint, I just am unsure, which is why I'm not sure.
She would be below the square footage for any kind of stormwater permit. Would it be a fence? So I'm not exactly sure what you would permit.
Okay.
It's not a sidewalk, it's not a concrete pad.
Right.
Or structure,
It's not
or
accessory
anything.
building, like a propane tank I learned is an accessory building that falls under that, right?
Accessory structure has a pretty broad term. It's like any man-made structure. But it would be up for interpretation, I suppose. We've never come across this before, so I'm definitely curious.
I appreciate you asking because, I don't want to do something, then they tell me I gotta dig it out.
Right.
Because
Right.
I'm spending them in, because that's the way I'm gonna slow these trucks down and keep them off. I mean, I'm gonna start at the corner of my driveway, and pretty much, like I said, they're 5 to 8 feet on my property now. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, I gave up. I don't even go out anymore and shovel off the driveway. I just figured I might as well wait till I get these up and take it from there.
Or maybe we just get back with you to see
I mean,
what.
the lady at Caddy Corner across the street came over because they've got her yard just like ruined. She can't even mow it. And there is a water line under there where they're right there with her yard. So she came over to see, she wants to see how my posts work. Because she was gonna get, decorative boulders, but she said they were too expensive. And then I told her the guy I got it from, I said, you got it on the marketplace, everybody sells them cheap.
Yeah.
But she said, let's see how your posts work. I mean, the other thing is I'm noticing more and more now that the trucks coming out from like George Street to York, and they're sitting there on Musser Street, and now they're trying to make a left on York. You can't do that, and there's no signage there. As far as I know, there's no signs ordered for that. So when they're coming towards my house from George Street, there's no sign there that says they can't make a left-hand turn or a right-hand turn or whatever. So
They're supposed to be going straight.
And a lot of it is the car haulers that are dropping off at Thornton Chevrolet. They're dropping the cars off and coming there and then making that left-hand turn at 183. They can barely make that corner.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And the whole thing is, they're not allowed on York Street, period. I just don't, just nuts.
So I would say maybe the simplest thing to do, I mean, it probably does, the definition of fence in the ordinance and the zoning ordinance is structure designed to prevent or restrict movement or view of persons, property, vehicles, and combination of. So So maybe the simplest thing to do in order to keep track of what's built there is to just get a fence permit for it, which, I guess the only concern with that is whether or not it's in the front yard.
That would be the front yard, but the front yard ordinance, for fences says that it just can't be taller than 4 feet. It needs to be opaque, which it would because they're not all completely together, correct? They'd be spaced out. And then, they're not supposed to be utilitarian. They're not supposed to be ugly is what that word means.
And
And,
these, I bought them used, so I am gonna repaint them.
okay,
The construction bright yellow.
and then,
I put some reflective tape around, probably halfway down. There's no reason they shouldn't see them.
and then they just can't be more than half the width or half the length of your front yard, which that would not be. And it can't include more than 25% of your front yard, which it would also not be doing. So, okay, thank you for looking that up. I just wanted to make sure that we weren't missing something while you're standing here and telling us.
I appreciate it, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, this was my plan after the boulders obviously got thrown out of the way within 5 days. So,
right. Kate, our zoning officer, after this meeting or, tomorrow or something, she can direct you to the fence permit and things, okay?
How long will that take?
It can take up to 15 business days to wait till the permit will be ready.
They're not,
I'm doing it on Sunday.
they're not that hard, but
I had a hard time lining this up, and I've had them post for 10 days now, and I'm doing it on Sunday.
Ms. Manager, may the Board of Supervisors waive that permit or waive that permit fee?
I don't know that. I would have to defer to the attorney.
Yeah, I mean, I think your fence permit falls under the zoning ordinance, and that's zoning hearing board.
It sounds like she'd be able to do it. It's just a permit. And it's $6 per 1,000 of the project value. Oh, I'm sorry, 7, we changed it. So if it costs you under $1,000, it's a $7 permit. It's nothing major. And so if you
Can
wanted
we
to
expedite
wait.
it instead of taking 15 days?
That, what I was about to get to,
Sorry.
it's okay, not your fault, was that's an easier permit. I don't think it will take that long. It would be reasonable if you got it into us tomorrow, that we could probably turn it around by Friday.
I mean, I just had new vinyl fence put up all the way around the backyard, and I swear to God, I just issued that. My fence company called one day, and they had the permit the next day.
And you got very, very lucky.
I thought maybe you were all doing me a favor because I was bitching so much about my yard being tore up.
It depends.
I thought you were like, give us her permit, get her off our back.
We process them in the order that we receive them, and sometimes we're not very busy, but then other times we're like so busy, it's just nuts,
And then I actually had to write the company that was doing it and say, your date's wrong on here. It's not 2025. And she's like, oh, good. So yeah, I mean, if you can fast track it, whatever, I appreciate it.
No problem.
Because I had to line up guys and rent the equipment and everything to have it done. So I afterwards talked to.
Appreciate that.
Yep.
The only thing I'm concerned about in Andy is she, I hate to see her open herself up to liability. And, I mean, if it was me, I'd tell her to put points in the top of the darn things, but,
I had one police officer in my driveway tell me that.
but I'm worried about somebody suing her over damage to a trailer, or if it would tip over a trailer, all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm.
And then the
not-
liability of us issuing the permit, I guess, too.
That's why I wanted to stay away from it.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
I'm not sure of the extent of that, but I would say they're trespassing on private property to hit them in the first place if they're outside the right of way.
I reached out to my attorney and he said the exact same thing.
Oh, good.
I mean, he actually said, if you want me to come to a township meeting with you, I will. I said, I don't think that's necessary at this point. But he told me the same thing. It's private property. If they're running off the road and going on your private property and hitting something, that's not on you. That's their fault for not staying on the road. And
Okay.
I'm gonna make them very visible. I mean, I appreciate, yes.
Yeah, it sounds good to me.
I'm gonna make them very visible.
But-
It's,
I can only relay on what we went through. We went through some legal hoops to have mailboxes that are bricked in the right of way. But that's in the right of way, and you're out of the right of way. So I just wanted to make sure you were not legally. Okay, good.
I spoke to a couple police officers that have been sitting in my driveway, and they're like, we really appreciate you doing it the right way, going to township, going to PennDOT, doing it. But he told me, I'd line that whole corner with rebar and tip it, spike it. You could get some flat tires or something out of them trucks.
Yeah.
Crazy. That's all I have, I guess.
Good luck.
Thank you. Be in touch with the permit.
Anyone else, any comments? Mr. Hewitt?
Well, just in her case, I'm just thinking, the township seems to be doing, you guys seem to be concerned, but there's nothing you seem to do.
No.
So, but we allow all these warehouses. There's nothing, there's no levy you can put on the warehouses?
No.
Nothing for no, no.
If somebody comes in next month with a plan, they have rights, and I often talk to Andy about imposing a moratorium on warehousing and stuff like that in our area. And it's just, our hands are tied more than you think.
Yeah, I mean, the point is they're following the rules to bring those developments in and develop that stuff. I think the one thing that we certainly learned from one of the organizations, Unify, who's down there, they were very clear that they educate their drivers, their own employees. The problems are the subcontractors that are coming in that aren't, theirs. They try and give them information, but they do whatever it is they do, much like I'm sure the car carrier deal, they're subcontractors.
And probably 85% of them truck drivers don't speak English. That's against the law right there.
Yeah, it's against the law because
Yep.
the current administration has revised that. Previous administrations left it slide, but I just saw it. If they can't read English, that truck should be locked up right there.
Exactly.
Yeah. So be cautious about what that law states, and folks that already have things, if they already have it, I'm not sure you can go back in time, much like things here. No one built a time machine to go back.
Yeah, well, I understand. The law was in effect, law's been in effect.
And that may be the case, I don't know. So all I can tell you is that, we've asked questions. We can't stop the development as long as the folks are meeting the guidelines of those.
I don't see, I haven't seen.
It's tough because, let's face it, correct me if I'm wrong, Darryl, but the police officers have to see the action take place in order to write it up. They can't go off of cameras and things of that nature, right? I don't think so. The speed
You have to
enforcement is.
identify the driver.
Those are red light cameras and speed cameras, which fall under different legislation than what we're talking about here, right?
So, yeah, a lot of those are civil fine you get.
To get back to your point, what we can do here is limited. However, we can insist upon they do X, Y, and Z to improve the infrastructure, that they do this, this, and this. But we can't force them to do off-site improvements. We have to ask them, and we hold some things that they want so that we get what we want. But it's
Well, going back to our friends at DHL, after the planning commission meeting or something, I went to a lawyer before he left, and I said, now, how are you gonna handle traffic, or how do you handle traffic? Because he was spelling out how many warehouses they've been building, and he said, well, in certain areas, municipalities or townships or wherever, I think he was speaking of the Midwest, they put up specific roadblocks, or not roadblocks, but specific blocking so that tractor trailers can't go through. And he said, that's your answer. And I knew that that was what the speech. So some people are able to do something, but I guess we can't.
what on that particular vein there, if and when the gross property is developed, it's inevitable. So my plan is I want to shake enough, I want to get enough on top of my soapbox that to prevent trucks from going south on Zion View Road into the borough. I want to stop it. If they would improve Bartlett to come across, I'd want PennDOT to agree with us that no trucks go, except local deliveries, of course, south into, because they're gonna go out there to hit George Street. They can go, our truck route now is to go up through and it'll go out through Expresso, out through to the bottleneck out of George. It's a Ford Road, so.
Well, you know, the other night, and the guys, well, I don't know if you maybe pulled up the stop sign. It was like 9 o'clock at night. Some guy, I don't know what he was doing. He was out there doing circles or donuts or backing up. He smashed the stop sign flat into the Barn Hill. He came up across the Barn Hill, ran into the stop sign, smashed it. I have an imprint of the stop sign in the ground now. It falls.
Was it a kid or a truck?
No, tractor trailer.
Tractor trailer.
Yeah. He was like, I don't know, doing a U-turn or backing up or, well, he drove over the barn. And somebody had came down and put the stop sign back up the next morning. But that was 9 o'clock at night.
Well, we have to,
The police are working because Officer Shepard pulled me over the other day. He was, and I thought, what I knew. He was looking for somebody who ran through the construction zone down here. And I think I was profiled him. He was looking for an old man in a green truck. So I told him I didn't appreciate that. So anyway, I asked him to come down, sit down in the driveway. He said, no. Anyway, that's beside
yeah. Well, you gotta understand, we're trying to work with the borough because we want signage up at the post office, so trucks don't come down that road. And if they can read the signs, that's another thing. But I'll get on my soapbox about PennDOT later.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other comments?
They have really good signs on Zion View,
Yeah, last
but
time.
apparently they don't see them either. Because WGL did a story like 2 or 3 days after mine on Zion View for another gentleman, that they're actually hitting structures on the road, houses. I mean, some of them are old, but it's still their property, so. But, regionals, I mean, I think out of like 70-some stops, they did like 39 tickets. Yeah. Last night, they did say at Manchester Borough about stops that they were making, and they said they were not repeat offenders, and very few spoken with, or even probably comprehensive.
Yeah.
And a hefty fine on top of it. That fine's supposed to be a couple $1,000. Yeah, so why aren't they doing that, you know?
Well, I understand the one truck driver was fined close to $7,000. So. Was that a correct figure?
Yes, 6 to 7.
Any other comments? Okay, thank you for all the comments. Moving on to emergency services report. We all have the fire chief's report. If you have any questions,
I do not.
direct any to Christie, because chief is on vacation. Mount Wolf's report was not received in time to be put into our packet, so.
And the burn ban was listed.
And the
lifted
burn
still.
ban was lifted. Your County Regional Police report, there's really nothing. We're soon gonna go live, I think June 1st. June 1st, we're going live with Spring Garden officers, everything is getting swapped over. Like I said, our next meeting is Wednesday nights now. We changed the meetings dates to accommodate Spring Garden. And that'll be Wednesday at 6 at the Oak Street building. Anything to report, Christie, on Northeastern York County emergency? We have a report, look pretty.
Basic, yeah.
Basic.
He's just still working on the technology upgrades. He did give a TMI update. The reopening of the former TMI facility has been pushed up, and the new target date for reopening is looking like June of 2027. So he's gonna start doing training in early 26.
It's gonna be a lot of hoops to jump through.
When he mentioned the radio need repair, he said it's a new radio. Is that under warranty? Do you know?
No, he does not have new radios. They are all very old.
Okay, I mean, he says this was a brand new device.
Oh, where do you see that at?
First, again, the first sentence, second paragraph.
Oh, yeah, well, then I guess
Oh.
it sounds like it was a mobile radio that he
Those
got.
mobile radios are so old, I don't think they're under warranty anymore, even if it wasn't used.
I think those, no, I understand now. I remember this. I'm sorry. The new radios came from eBay and Amazon. He found them on. And
All his.
yeah,
Okay.
this is, yeah, so I'm not sure if he has
Okay.
a warranty.
Yeah, I thought they were county radios. That's why.
No.
Okay, we ready to move on?
Yes.
Special requests?
Yep. So the first one is for Kathy, our tax collector, is requesting exoneration to ECI Realty Partnership LP for the property of 4040 North George Street because of a building that was removed. They paid their full taxes and county didn't do the assessment yet. So the total that would be exonerated is $142.68.
So that's a reimbursement
That would
or
be
exoneration?
an exoneration.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we exonerate 440 North George Street in the amount of $142.68.
I'll second that.
Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And then the next one we have is the community yard sale request for Saginaw Park to be on June 13th, 14th, and 15th from Miss Cheryl Lowe. Would you like to stand up and talk about the yard sale?
Oh my gosh. I just got a fear they read everything and they said yay or nay or ask any questions.
Yeah, it's gonna be a yard sale, right?
Yes, theoretically, here's the situation. In Saginaw, you know where I live, Daryl knows where I live. It's a little difficult for me to have a yard sale.
Yeah.
Donna Buck lives down
Yeah.
the end of the dead end, difficult for her. A lot of residents of Saginaw over the years have said, hey, can we get together as a community and do a community yard sale? Well, I think they've jumped through a few hoops. The Recreation Committee at one point told them that they had to pay all this money in fees and insurances and all kinds of things. So it was dropped. They got me involved, and you know me, I take the bull by the horn and say, okay, I'll see what I can get done. But so we also looked at the fact that, like, as you're going down York Street, it is so narrow. Those few homes down there, you attempt for them to have a yard sale, you're creating a safety issue. You know the number of people that stop on the side of there or leave the middle of the street, jump out and go, oh, you don't have anything I want, jump back in. You got kids on a Saturday, Friday, well, yard sales usually don't last Friday after school, but Saturday, kids playing in the middle of the street down there. Other streets in Saginaw, you got the same situation with the narrow roads, so on and so forth. We just thought it'd be more of a safety issue also, to hold it at the playground. We could get all the people, maybe up to 10 people. I've only had 8 people respond to my request when I put out. I personally probably wouldn't even, but I said I would see what I could do. That was one of the issues. I have not really put together, because I'm down to one hand, the list of items that I want to put into a flyer that would be distributed, namely saying, I believe every stand that is there should have a trash receptacle. Every everybody should be responsible for picking up trash at the park, taking your trash receptacle home. I didn't look to see what is available there, who collects it there, I don't know any of that stuff. But if each person would take, responsibility for picking up trash, putting it in a trash receptacle in your own area, taking that back home to get rid of it. We don't want children running around unattended. Don't bring your kids down, expect them to play on playground equipment when you're not watching them. You wouldn't do that on any other day of the week. Just certain little things like that. I mean, I could type up a list and run it by Christine. That's essentially what we're looking at. In addition to that, I don't know if this is addressed either. I think we should put it as part of my little note, which whether we needed approval or not, the residents would like to do little things like collectively as a group, do kickball Tuesdays or whatever, where anybody in the community that would like to get together and play kickball, do ice cream socials. Someone talked about a movie night, just a lot of different things to bring the community back together. Neighbors being neighbors like they used to be.
I just want to say for the record, I begged her practically to be on a rec board. To be on a rec board.
It pays well.
I think somebody tried to do
Well,
that
she's
20
gonna-
years ago. I think they wanted me on the zoning hearing board actually at that time.
She's going to be the southeast director.
Oh, yeah, yeah, there we go. And so, in my opinion and in staff's opinion, is that all of those kinds of events that doesn't deal in profit making, I think that they shouldn't need approval from us. I think that it's great that they just want to do things like that. The reason why I had Ms. Lowe come to this meeting is because this is not the first time someone has asked to do community yard sale at Saginaw Park. But we always directed them to the rec committee, and no, they never meet for them to show up and talk to them about it. So I figured it'd be appropriate to have her come here because there's a lot of little things that, I mean, we haven't had one of these yet. And I certainly wouldn't want sales, like yard sales, constantly happening every single week or weekend if we didn't have any kind of purview over it, So what I was thinking is it would be like a free permit, organized, whenever they want to do it, really, So if you wanted to do it multiple times or whatever in the year, but it would be a permit that we would say, hey, make sure you pick up all your trash, and Shane he was talking to me about parking. There's only 19 spaces out there. There is no parking on Market, or there's not really anywhere to park on Market or York Street. So he said that there was an event there or something happening there at one point where they blocked off part of York Street so that there was additional parking for the park. So I figured that would probably be a good step to do for the Saginaw Community Park.
They used to do that way back in the day when I first moved in there. They blocked that off when there were ball teams that were playing. That would get blocked off, and I didn't realize that was for parking. I thought it was more for safety of the center.
And probably that too,
Both, but
Yeah.
certainly both, but
And I was also going to put as part of my thing now that you brought it up was that if at all possible, bring your stuff up, set your stuff up, take your vehicle home, have your spouse drive you up. Let's reserve those parking spaces for anybody who comes in. There's no reason why somebody can't walk 3 or 4.
And I think that would be a good planning thing for, if you're taking the lead on it, then that would be a good thing for you to do. My big thing would be for the roads and safety there, and then of course for cleanup of the park, and then anything else you guys can think of. What are you smiling
She's
about?
good.
She is good. I know, I'm telling you.
I'm telling you. So, and I think I can speak for the board. We're all enthused about getting community together and doing these type of things. You only have 8 participants, it'll probably grow, especially after the first time.
I'm thinking that it may be 10. I guesstimated 8. I did one of those little Facebook surveys. There are 3 dates that people
Yeah.
mentioned. Father's Day came out the most, and I think there were 8 people that commented on it. I'm guessing there would be 8 people. I would max it out at 10 because I don't want to be responsible for anything more than that. And I don't think theoretically, just glancing, I haven't gone to the park and really looked at the park. But I think at a glance, number one, I don't think anybody should be setting up within the ball diamond area just because of potentially ruining the ball diamond.
Right.
But there is certainly enough outfield area without getting into the playground area or into the parking area or the little picnic area to be able to set up possibly 10 booths or 10 exhibits. I don't think there would be enough space to do more than 10, just off the top of my head.
Yeah.
So would you be interested in closing York Street?
It's entirely up to what you guys would say. If you want it to be, I can set Randy up to get,
Yeah.
a barricade. He can put a barricade up. He'll be home that weekend, and he can put a barricade up.
And you would be the responsible person on site?
Hardly. Friday's difficult for me because I have appointments with doctors for my hands.
You could just put somebody to oversee it.
I could possibly designate someone
Yeah.
to be there on Friday.
We just need a go-to person, that sort of thing. And I think we could establish, once Cheryl writes these things down and makes probably a model permit for us,
Yeah.
we can do this for group yard sales.
Yeah,
in the
absolutely.
area.
And then we
'Cause-
won't have to have them really come back here, just be
Right.
reviewed by staff with the Public Works Director and make sure we do any safety things.
And if it
You know.
turns into a kickball tournament or a picnic or something like that, great.
Okay, so we can just say, hey, on whatever day, anybody in the community wants to come play kickball, we can do that.
Yep.
No snacks.
Yeah, just-
whatever.
Absolutely.
Certainly no paid trucks, none of that stuff, because this is not a for-profit for anybody kind of venture, I see it.
I mean, if someone wanted to bring food trucks in, the food trucks themselves would need permits from the township. That's just already a requirement.
That's for them to get. not
Yeah,
yours.
not for you to, yeah, exactly. Good
Yeah.
point.
As far as 50 people getting together and playing kickball, it's still a community park.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
The other issue, I think that was brought up back when they were going through the recreation committee, was they had talked about insurance and saying that the residents had to pay for insurance.
Nope.
No, okay.
I checked with, you told me that and I was flabbergasted, but now I know for
Do you need
sure.
a certificate for the day?
No, actually, no, we're covered. It's our park, we're covered.
So then we will notify the police department if we do, or do we have to act tonight on closing that street or what?
I'd say we approve it and just somebody let the police department know, just give them a heads
Should
up.
I stop up? I'm not.
Well, so we do have certain things where we automatically, once we issue a permit, we will send it directly over to the police department by default. So
Good.
we can just make that a part of the procedure that we do for this.
All right.
Okay. Great.
I make a motion that we approve this
I'll second that.
discussion.
Yes. She read my mind on a lot of things. The biggest thing was, I know after yard sales, people like, oh, I didn't sell this. I've been here for 3 years.
That is on my list as well,
Yeah,
that says,
yeah.
this
Don't-
is
don't
not,
leave
this
that
is not
stuff
the
there.
opportunity to get rid of your trash and
Right,
the things that
right.
you did not
We do
sell.
have a container down there, just
No,
normal.
and that is
Yeah.
the other issue that I have, I honestly, I won't be able to lift anything for months. So I will certainly be walking around looking at what everybody has, and if I see something down there, trust me, I'm gonna be on those people, because this is my community, I've lived here like forever.
Delegation.
Most of that stuff ends up in front of a clothing donation bin. Where
In front of them than the donation does,
Yeah.
put it in your car and run it into Goodwill, and I will have all those suggestions, everything that says, please do not be dumping your stuff at the park. That's the purpose of saying, everybody have your trash can there. If you get out of your car and you see trash on the street that somebody else dropped, pick it up and put it, because you know what? If you don't abide by this, you won't be able to have this yard sale next year. Point blank.
That's all I have for comment.
Anything, Dean?
No.
Call for the vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And welcome to staff. Your check will be in the mail.
And Cheryl, just real quick on a side note about the 4th Street thing. I called the 1-800 number on the internet, and they told me that I had to reach out via email. And they gave me a phone number too, but they told me to do an email. So I did. And I was also trying to take care of another situation that I was telling you about on Canal Road, where a lot of their stuff is going to Schindler Elevator and things. Well, so anyways, I spelled both of those out. I finally got an email back yesterday. I couldn't believe it, but I did. And they're telling me to send a list of all of the addresses that are being affected. And so after pondering this, I think that that's okay for me to do for 4th Street because it's obviously a more global issue that's affecting you on a website level. I'm hoping this fixes it. I mean, it sounds like they can fix it per their email, but and not that this one concerns you, but my second one is something that we're going to just put the email address out onto our website. So if anyone is having problems on a more global level with their address or their packages going somewhere else, then they can email that email address.
Because after I spoke with you, I went into USPS.com and I went to ship the package to myself and did it multiple ways. None of them came up with my correct address. I put it in as FOURTH Street. There was no, not in the USPS, there was no FOURTH Street. There was North 4th, there was South 4th. They even came up with 120 North 4th Street in the middle of between two houses, but there was nothing under that that showed up. The only way it does show up is I put 124th Street, Village of Saginaw.
Really?
And it was coming up with the Village of Saginaw. And it could be because I started using that for my international stuff.
Okay, well then my follow-up question to that would be, do you want me to even send this email and I give you
Yes,
the
I
email
do.
address?
Yes,
Because
I do.
I'm not
Because
gonna
I will
include
tell you
Village of
another
Saginaw.
thing I found out. Randy went through and took pictures of the mailboxes on 4th Street.
Okay,
There is 110 on 4th Street, and there is 110 in the borough.
okay.
So as I was playing around with Nick Schermeyer's address, my address, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, because I took pictures of, I went into the tax map and I took pictures of houses that were close by, looking at the numbers, which it doesn't make sense. You have a 124, a 116, and 120 in Saginaw. So I don't know if you ever, did you bring the board up to speed on any of this?
It's in my report.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and then just to clue everyone else in, it's that Mount Wolf Borough, 4th Street is just the number 4 in TH, but the 4th Street in East Manchester and Saginaw is spelled out. And our ordinance is correct, our PennDOT maps are correct, but it is not populating when people are going onto the internet to get packages delivered to them when they purchase or whatever. It won't populate with spelled out. It'll only populate with the 4. So then by the time they get here, they're going straight to the borough to try to deliver these packages instead of to Saginaw to deliver their packages. So,
And we had an instance where we had $10,000 worth of product, DHL coming, and fortunately, the driver called us. He was in the borough and was getting ready to drop it on an unknown street address. And fortunately, they called when we were heading into the VFW one night, and we were able to pick up our product. We also had an incident, which this is another reason why I'm so pushing for this to get straightened out. There was a storm one night, and there was a tree arcing in the woods when we came home. And it was like fire, and so we called 911. 911 operator, what's your address? I gave her my address. I said, but it is in East Manchester. I said East Manchester Township. That should have been the very first thing because they asked you your township. I'm in East Manchester Township. That should have told them where I'm at when I said 4th Street. Then I said the Village of Saginaw. I said that. She said, I don't want to hear that. What is your street again? I said, it's 4th Street. I heard the siren go off. I heard the fire trucks, and it's foggy and rainy, and I'm outside watching this. They went down 4th Street. And then 911 operator says, excuse me, they want to know where you're located. I said, I've been trying to tell you that. I'm in the Village of Saginaw, 124th Street. Now I hear the trucks go, but guess what? They get to Saginaw, they're heading up the hill in the opposite direction. So we're on the phone calling our neighbors saying, hey, could you go out and flag fire trucks down and tell them it's down this way? Well, Trevor comes back and says, why didn't you tell them it was the old pool at Saginaw? I said, because they wouldn't let me.
Yeah,
I couldn't even tell them it was Saginaw. Now, just think if my house was burning down.
yeah.
Oh, which brings me up to another thing. I have to pay tax on the fire hydrant at the end of the lane of my house. Well, I thought if you're more than a certain amount of distance from the fire hydrant, that you shouldn't have to pay that tax.
Used to be.
And I would think that where I'm at is just because it's on the corner of my property at the end of my lane. I don't think you're gonna be taking a hose the whole way down my lane to my house. And I'm not sure how many firefighters are gonna run through the woods. And I have a pond down there with water. So that's just one of my questions, maybe we can look into.
It goes off of your property lines, so not the structure itself. So if you are, I can't remember what the number.
756.
Thank you.
680? I thought it was 750.
Well, it's some number that is a
Someone
couple
paid
hundred
680.
feet.
On a fire hydrant that'll never get used if I have a fire at my house.
Well, come to find out, it turns out that they still pull the water from the hydrants to begin with to get the people or to get the structures that aren't in reach
They
of
won't
those
pull
hydrants.
water from
Yeah.
ponds or the
I
creeks
was just
anymore.
curious. Okay, I'm out of here. Bye. Just let me know, Christine, you know.
Yeah.
And I'll let you know more when I find out.
Sure.
I mean, it's crazy.
Yep.
It really is.
Yep, thank you.
Might almost be easier to just name the whole road.
Rename it.
Well, I've said that before. Why don't you just turn around and put a 1 in front of every side and all the
It's
rest?
still not that easy, but yeah. Or a zero.
Exactly.
043.
Yeah.
Okay, where am I at? Okay, we're on a half marathon now. Request. Fleet feet. Did everybody review this? Does
Yes.
anybody have a problem with this?
No.
No,
No. I make a motion, we approve it.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Wow. Takes us down to, I have a lot of monitoring station data. Are we gonna discuss this or what?
Which one are you going to?
I'm on YCPC sediment, 7.1.
I placed this on here because I wasn't sure if you guys wanted to say something about it.
This is about MS4, right? Is that what it's for?
This is about the USGS real-time monitoring station data versus DEP's computer model data, which is populating significantly more than what USGS data estimated over a 4-year average. So,
So we basically
So
did
is-
better than we were required to do.
right.
So this is Byron's bailiwick. This is what's part of the data they used to assess us so much flow, didn't they? Sediment stuff?
I haven't read this, so I'm not familiar with it.
Okay.
Did you get my email when I forwarded this?
No, it must want to.
I thought I got rejected. Okay. What I like to do is just read part of this. They're saying that the recent report in a nutshell, DEP's apparently antiquated modeling overstated pollutant levels in York County dating back to 2019 report. In one case, exaggerating sediment levels in the streams by 900%. Another disparity showed true nitrogen levels at just 60% of the figures originally reported by DEP.
Well,
Bad mistake.
moving on.
Yeah.
Not getting any money back, right?
No.
Go ahead, Andy.
Under my report this evening, the first item is the ordinance to establish speed limits in school zones along the high school. And this is ordinance number 2025-4. I did note in my report that we did add the hours, and I believe it was 7 to 7:30 and 2:30 to 3 o'clock.
That's correct.
In that ordinance as the restricted 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock, 7 a.m. to 7:30, and 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Restricted times. And this is for on High Street to Board Road, from the intersection of High Street and East Parkview Road to 300 feet north of the intersection of Board Road. This has been advertised and is ready for the board to take out.
Do we have
Yeah, I believe so for the
Yes.
ordinance.
So we do need a hearing, right?
You do not need to
Oh.
hear.
Oh, okay.
Next one.
Sorry.
So my question is to Shane, everything's been, all the Ts crossed, Is dotted, and we're good to go.
Yes, sir. Check fine in there.
Okay, and then I'll make a motion that we adopt ordinance number 2025-4.
I'll second that.
Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And Mr. Wisdom is aware that after it's done, we can enforce that.
Okay.
We also send a copy of this to the police department.
So next is ordinance number 2025-5. And these are the zoning ordinance amendments that the board's been working on for some time now. There has been discussion of multiple meetings regarding these amendments. The amendments have been reviewed by the York County Planning Commission as well as your Township Planning Commission. And this ordinance has been advertised 2 times in the newspaper for a public hearing this evening and then action on the ordinance following the hearing. So the first step this evening should be to conduct that public hearing on.
Okay, just bear with me a minute. Okay, so at 19:02 hours, I'm going to open the hearing for the ordinance number 2025-5, an ordinance amending the East Manchester Township, York County, Pennsylvania zoning ordinance, multiple changes in that. And I'm going to open the hearing up to any members of the audience that are opposed to any of these changes. Staff. Board. Okay, anyone in favor of the ordinance's changes can now speak. I, for one, would like to say that this is an exercise that we decided to take on a yearly basis to review our ordinances to make sure that we don't have any antiquated ordinances, ordinances that we could change to make better sense, common sense for the ordinance. So that's what we endeavored to do. And I think it paid dividends for some of the changes that we've had. So any other comments for or against? Okay, I'll close the hearing. With that, I'll take a motion, if presented, to approve 2025-5.
Make a motion to approve ordinance number 2025-5, the zoning ordinance amendments.
Second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Next on my agenda is resolution 2025-10. And this is a resolution to adopt some additions to the employee handbook related to CDL drivers and progressive discipline for CDL drivers that are temporarily suspended or lose their CDL. this was discussed in executive session, reviewed by staff,
Or not?
and now it's on the agenda for, you to take action this evening.
Okay, this again is a little house cleaning on our employee handbook because the world changes as we know it. It just keeps evolving. So is there any, I'll make a motion that we approve resolution 2025-10.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on any of the changes that we're making?
Just would say that, like you said, I think it was appropriate time, something that should be done on an annual basis, going through our handbook and ordinances, just to keep things in line with changes in our environment.
Okay, well said. Anything else now?
No.
I'll call for the vote. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Let me catch up.
Next on the agenda under my report is the noise ordinance amendment. We previously discussed this ordinance, I believe at last month's meeting. We did also get some comments from board members and staff on the proposed amendment. I've listed out the changes that we made in the ordinance related to some of those comments. We have also prepared now an amendment to the subdivision and land development ordinance, which would create an obligation under certain circumstances to perform a noise study as part of the land development plan. And then also an amendment to the zoning ordinance that would cross-reference the noise requirements of the noise ordinance. And it would cross-reference that ordinance and incorporate it into, effectively incorporate those standards into the performance standards of the zoning ordinance. We're ready to move forward with these ordinances, I think, except the one question that we still have is what the trigger would be to require a noise study under the subdivision land development ordinance. In other words, not every LD plan that comes in front of you should necessarily be required to do a noise study. I'm not exactly sure, I don't have a great methodology for how we do that, but I'm open for, wanted to bring up the discussion.
Two questions, or maybe just one. So is this about new development, or is this about existing? Pick on DHL.
So this would be, so the noise, the standalone noise ordinance would apply to existing structures in most cases. The amendment to require the noise study would only apply to applicants who come forward with or who file a land development plan with the township. So there's nothing retroactive there.
Okay, so we looking for a trigger for development or a trigger?
Yes, similar to traffic studies, your traffic study provisions, subdivisions over a certain size or that are expected to generate a certain amount of traffic have to do a traffic study. We'd be doing essentially the same thing with a noise study. Developments that meet certain criteria as set forth in the subdivision and development ordinance would be required to do a noise study and a noise model as part of their land development plan.
Can't we keep it as simple as a board request? Because when we're going into certain development, we know what's going to be on the roofs of some of these. So if we even think that that's going to be creating a hum, a reverberation or something to, especially if they're contiguous with R1, then we could request it.
Yeah, I like that because, is that possible?
Well, so the only thing I would say is you are probably safest to set a threshold standard and set that standard low and then grant waivers under the.
But we don't know, we wouldn't know the standard if some new building comes in I don't know.
Well, here's my thing. So you take someone's building on speculation, right? So they're building just a big rectangle box. They don't know what's going in there. Could be either a warehouse or manufacturing. So it depends ultimately on the tenants, but you don't know right away, correct?
Right.
Versus a developer comes in and says, I want to put up 100 homes, and want to trigger a sound study for that. Probably not, right?
Well, couldn't we say any new industrial or commercial development requires a sound study and then we can possibly waive it?
Yes, and what I would suggest is, maybe you want to provide that that's any new commercial or industrial development within 500 feet of a residential zoning district or residential parcel.
Or
residential
share a common line contiguous with. They could share it with the borough of Manchester's line.
Yeah, well, what I would, if you put in there that it's within, and it could be even longer or a greater distance, but if you put in there within 500 feet of a residential parcel, that wouldn't differentiate between borough
Okay,
Good.
I like that.
Yeah.
and township.
Because I mean, 500 feet, if we take the one example, it's
So if we get a baseline and then having established that so much after occupancy, so many months after occupancy, they do another one, we can, if they're gonna bring in something that's absolutely nothing on the roof, then we're gonna say, we'll waive it. Okay.
yeah, I just want to make sure that 500 feet is from the property line or from where the building goes. The building is-
I mean, typically, I would say it should be measured from the sound source. Now, whether or not 500 feet's an appropriate distance, I'm not sure. And one thing that I could do is what I was hoping to do is put a proposal together, some language together, and then if you want, I can have, get Eddie Duncan's opinion on how much distance, because he'll understand the way noise travels.
Well, my concern with 500 feet is I'm just thinking about the roadhouse and the challenges that were there with DHL, right? Because I'm thinking, well, wait, 500 feet from the property line, yeah, but 500 feet from where the noise source is? I don't think so. That's my own concern, and so this gentleman, this consultant would know, right?
Yeah, so are you saying it's a greater distance to the noise
I'm
source?
thinking it might be shorter. Taking that one example, I'm just, line of sight. I haven't measured it, but I would suggest it's probably more than 500 feet. It's just a knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah, it is more than 500 feet, but the property line.
And, I mean, you could go to 1,000 feet, I mean, that would be reasonable.
Refer to you and
And the
what's his
consultant.
name? Yeah, consultant.
Yeah, and then that way, like you said, it seems like it's a fairly reasonable threshold, not too low. So we can,
It's important for us to know baseline and where we stand after baseline, and
Let me
whether
ask-
that's excessive or not. And it's not only to me, the noise ordinance is not excessive noise, Andy, and I have a note here. Does this cover a constant but not considered excessive noise, such as a hum or reverberation that rattles the window every now and then?
Yes, that's the reason for the octave bands
Yeah.
in the ordinance. It will then cover, and again, the problem is it's got to be a measurable standard to be able to enforce it. So by doing the octave bands, the whole purpose of that was to catch the low, yes.
Yeah.
harmonic.
Yeah,
So
that
I
hum,
guess-
would this incorporate, one more thing. Would this noise ordinance get us started on, if we had a building come into to our township that's it's never been here before, such as the data center. Would this noise ordinance cover that?
Yeah, I think it would apply to any use that comes in, and typically, one of the things you're looking at, or if they had to go before you for a conditional use, or they had to get a special exception, one of the things they would be tasked with establishing is if they can meet the performance standards, which means meet the noise standards that are in the ordinance.
Okay, good enough.
So then, just one more question then. So again, a building is built on speculation. They don't know the tenant. The tenant finally shows up and they're going to, say, be a manufacturer or some warehouse that has cold storage.
So that would be
Do-
post occupancy.
Well, yeah, because it's already built, but a tenant changes hand, before.
That's a
it's
good
like,
point.
Does
Or
it
if it,
covers this?
or if it changes hands.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I'm just kind of looking, because, they're renting these buildings. Today, it's, they're growing plants, for instance, and so it's not very noisy. So we don't need a study, and now they're bringing a manufacturer or something else.
Or occasionally I go and I see a crane over in the industrial area putting something on a rooftop. Does that have to be restudied?
Do we pick those things up?
Most likely it would be quieter, newer technology, but
Right. So what I would say is the standards, the limits certainly apply to that equipment. Whether or not, I guess I would ask Christie, would you typically be issuing a building permit for that kind of work? I would assume so.
Well, if it was a major change of use that was more intense than the previous use, see, I don't
It
know. There's so
depends,
many
right?
factors. Yeah.
Well, so take my example, it's someone's plants, I don't know. Plants seem to be quiet, probably wrong, but then someone comes in, and puts in a manufacturing site with, pneumatic hammers and stuff like that. So it's a big change in use versus it's been a warehouse, it's always been a warehouse.
I think we should still establish a baseline.
I agree. I'm just asking the question of, it's one thing going through land development. It's quite another. It's built, it's 20 years later, and somebody that's been occupying that leaves, a new tenant comes in, and they change what the purpose of that building is, and what they bring is something that's noisier than what was there before. Are we gonna pick it up? And what you're saying is if it comes through a building permit, we most likely would.
Well, if it's a
Well,
permitted use,
We would have to
It-
deal with that in the ordinance provided.
yeah.
We were talking about would only be triggered with a land development plan. Building permit's not gonna be land development plan.
Right.
We'd have to include language in the noise ordinance itself probably to address that.
I think we should.
for example, if they bring in a new piece of equipment for the floor inside DHL, we don't know about it. They're installing it. And all of a sudden, it's not buffered enough on the concrete. And it's just in there and it's making a vibration and we hear it, we complain about it. Do we have anything to do about it then? Was this ordinance take care of that?
You definitely, you would be in, so we should differentiate too between, when we talk about sound studies, we're talking pre-installation, pre-development, and it's just a computer model.
Yeah,
Post-construction or post-installation, the noise limits apply, and it would be a zoning violation if they're not in compliance. The challenge is, or it wouldn't be a zoning violation, it'd be a violation of the noise ordinance. You would have to be able to measure that sound and establish that violation in some way, which is the main goal of the new noise ordinance, is that we have a broader range of sounds that have limits set to them, including those, low frequency sounds that would be,
I have a question. So okay, we'll go off all these examples here, where it's a change of use 20 years from now, and we don't know that it's gonna be noisy, right? They go in and they're making a lot of noise. You're saying that the way it's written, or maybe it needs to be changed to be written, that, if we're getting a lot of complaints about it, we can send them a letter saying, okay, we're making you do a noise study because there's obviously something happening now that wasn't happening before. We need to do a study. Do we have a good grasp with this ordinance, in place to do or to make a company do that
Well,
kind of study?
I don't think you can make them do a noise study. I think what you can do is, I think you can own noise study for the perimeter of the property and then begin an enforcement action. And part of the remedy in that could be requiring them to do their own noise study and have suggested mitigation measures determined.
But we're gonna say it's not violating. We go ahead and authorize a noise study that we do. And that's not cheap, that's expensive.
Yes.
And it comes to find out they're not in violation, well, we just got stuffed with that bill,
Yeah, we
correct?
just ate the bill.
Yeah.
But the point is the ordinance there, and these are new technologies, it's measurable, there's no ambiguity about it.
Right.
And that's the important point. Some of it, you can go out and hire a consultant that's got the credentials, and they're gonna measure it to these standards.
That's right.
And yes, our risk is we get a number of folks complaining, we take an action, commission a noise study, and it comes back and says, these guys are within the limits. Yeah, but at least we have something.
That's right. And if they are within the limits, then you don't have a whole lot of recourse over them.
Right.
Okay, but if they are exceeding the limits, then we can charge them
Correct.
for the sound study?
It's
Well, you could begin an enforcement action,
to recover the money.
which, yeah,
Okay.
which, I mean,
Fines.
I would say, the enforcement action is, it may require additional studies be done or mitigation be developed from those studies. I don't know that you can, I mean, well, you can collect your cost of enforcement if you're successful in the enforcement action. So that is possible in that way.
But if they comply, then we would have still probably lost that money because we were doing investigative
So let's do this.
action, correct?
So, yes, I would think so, but let's do this. What does a noise study cost? Because are we talking 50 grand? Are we talking $5,000?
I don't know.
And that's what I'm saying. So it depends on how big it is, but what it does allow is the constituents to be like, I have this problem. It exists, and we got 2, 3, 4 people coming in. Yes, we're gonna have to say, yeah, we're gonna take that, but we don't know how big the cost is. We should at least understand it. Because what you're telling me is if we get enough complaints, we're gonna need to take some action, and that is commissioning the noise study.
Mm-hmm.
And the risk is we fail.
And that is the only way to probably enforce it. I mean, it's going to be very difficult to enforce it otherwise. It's also going to be, if you don't have those noise standards, you're asking them to come up with remedies without a clear.
Very
goal.
subjective. It's like saying, oh, this speed limit sign is, we'd like 35, but you can do whatever you want. If we don't have this, at least this is very measurable, much like a speed limit sign, there's no ambiguity there. It's 35.
Well, it's
We
Right.
had a client.
done now, yeah.
Yeah, we had a client who commissioned a sound study because of complaints from surrounding properties. And I think it cost them $20,000 to do the study. But that was, I mean, they did a fairly extensive study. I mean, that wasn't just, measuring, that was measuring the noise limits over
Because one of
a
your
period
trucks.
of time for multiple receptor points around the property. So I'm sure that can be catered to what you are after. But it is, part of the reason we're here having this discussion is it's prove it.
But, but standards are standards, so it's a black and white issue, and if we come back and we find that XYZ company is violating that standard, then we need something in the resolution that states that we recoup all costs arriving to that decision.
That is in the ordinance.
Okay.
Is that it's, you can collect a fine and all of your costs, including attorney's fees, to enforce.
But if we just jump off and say, yeah, let's throw our guy at it and study it, we gotta be careful that we.
Yeah, I mean, all
Okay, I
I'm
have
saying
another
is
question.
we're taking action, you know, at least it's very measurable, it's not subjective.
So it's just, I'm trying to get a feel for this because of doing the enforcement and everything before. So just real quick, Andy, when we normally do code enforcement, only if they don't comply is when we end up going and issuing fines. So you're saying in this case, we would still technically issue a fine,
Well,
regardless
no,
on if they
they're-
comply,
If they're in compliance,
then we still wouldn't recoup that money then. Okay, I just want to make sure everyone's very clear that it's possible that we won't recoup
Yeah, I
that
think it's.
money,
I
even
see-
if they are in violation.
Yeah, I see, I think I understand where you're
Okay.
coming from. It's kind of like.
Right.
It's kind of like I've got some old junky cars sitting on my property. It's very visual. You don't need to hire a consultant to go do that.
Mhm.
You're able to be like, here you go, Mr. Ford, here's your fine because you didn't take action, right?
Correct.
Versus some folks complain that they're hearing a sound. We have numerous complaints. We've asked for information. The company that's there provides nothing. So our choice is to then go commission a noise study. And you know, the bad news, the worst case scenario is we spend X amount of dollars and we fail. They are compliant.
Mm-hmm.
So go back and look, sorry, they're following our rules. Best case scenario is we do a noise study, they are in violation, and now they've got to fix the issue, come in compliance, and we're able to recoup those costs, including that study.
If they
Because
don't
they were-
comply.
Even if they do comply, they got to fix it, but they still have to come
They
back.
were in
and-
violation.
Well, no, right, but I'm talking about recouping the money.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
recoup that because that's part of you weren't
Do
in
you see- do you know
compliance.
what I
There was
mean?
clearly a problem.
XYZ, if they found they exceed the spec.
Yeah, but that's not a fine. If you find that they are in violation, that's when you send them a notice to say, hey, we have the study that's showing you're in violation. Now we need you to do X, Y, and Z to comply, or you're gonna get fined.
Exactly right,
But you already did the study.
and they're gonna pay for it.
But there's a nuance here.
Well,
That's what I'm asking,
so
yes.
This would be
Right.
this would be under a standalone noise ordinance, so it wouldn't work like a zoning violation.
Well, even our standalone, like, high grass and weeds thing doesn't work like that either.
Right, well, even that, you have to give them notice
Right.
before you do anything. This would be more like, I mean, you have numerous ordinances that work like this, but if there's a violation, there's a violation. You would issue a citation and or file a civil complaint.
If they don't comply.
Well, even if they're in violation, you can file that civil complaint. You can settle that by them coming into compliance, but you wouldn't have to give them a warning and the opportunity to remedy it before you pursue the complaint. Now, the question is always, if they haven't had a chance to remedy it, what is a magistrate judge, what is the magisterial district justice going to do with that claim? They're probably going to be fairly lenient and give them a slap on the wrist as long as they come into compliance.
I would challenge that though, because that's, to me, that's different than like weeds or you told me to move my salvage vehicles out and I didn't do it in the allotted time. Here's somebody that's clearly making noise, numerous complaints that can be documented. This entity chose not to take any action.
Right.
We commissioned a study which said, guess what? You clearly violate these ordinances, and that triggers. We could still be unsuccessful with the
So-
match rate and whatnot, but to me, we're at least standing on firm ground. This is very specific information.
So what you're saying then is we would send a letter saying, we're getting all these complaints about your facility. We need you to conduct a study. And if they fail to do that, now they're in violation after we do the study and find that it is in violation, and then we can recoup our fines or what we put into the
I
study.
mean, I don't think you have any obligation to notify them ahead of time. I mean, if you're getting complaints and you want to do the study, you can just do the study, and if they're in violation, file the complaint against them. So it's, zoning ordinance requires a notice of violation, and there's an appeal period from that.
Yeah,
I guess you could consider, to analogize it, you could consider the complaint or the citation, the notice of violation, and then they have the right to go and defend that.
oh, that's interesting.
And, you know, you can always settle that. They can come into compliance and then go and say to an MJ, you know, we got the violation notice, we came into compliance, and, you know, it's resolved. And an MDJ is probably going to be lenient on them at that point, so.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. You ready to beat that horse?
I'm giving it to you. What do we need to do to move this forward, Andy? Do we have to,
So I think if that's, what I'd like to do is just put together the language with the distance to residential structures and just run that past Eddie Duncan, and then bring that back to you next month, and if that looks okay, then we send off, we have to send the Saldo and the zoning off to planning commissions, would be the next step. Though you could, at that point, if you wanted to proceed with the noise ordinance itself, we could advertise that for adoption. You wouldn't have to wait for the planning commissions for that.
yes, sir?
What is our setback between the R1 and the industrial? Isn't it only like 300 feet or something?
Oh, I don't remember what that is without
Mhm.
looking.
I think it's probably use specific as well. There's probably some uses that require a bigger setback than others.
Well, I know we talked about it because of DHL. And they brought it right up to the limit where they had miles that they could move the building out. That's another issue. We wouldn't have half the noise problems if they were just closer to Dayton.
Yeah. Right in my front yard.
Well, I think that's where it comes
Which I
back
hear
to
their backup
getting the
alarms
feedback from the noise consultant to find out what's the right kind of distance to put in there to kind of create.
Pay for the R1 so that they don't, this doesn't continue to happen. Now, I mean, I can say, I hear noise, not like Mr. Roadhouse, but I mean, it's annoying to me, but it's not, I can go in the house, close the door. He's much closer.
Yeah, but that's not the point, you know?
I mean, I know, I understand.
Because you know, if I was king of the world, I would outlaw backup alarms, but that's just me. Because I hear them all night long.
I thought Tristan was like 300 feet. I don't know.
I'm wondering if there's something I'm missing here, and I could be, but I am finding 100 feet.
Well, it's 100 feet. I know it was 100 feet
Yeah.
for something from R1, but I don't think
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah, but the thing is you, we need to talk to the consultant, because really it's a distance
Yeah,
that comes into play.
We all knew that.
Because the thing is, if you do 100 feet and you're
Damn.
101 feet outside, you fall below that,
Yeah.
further out, further distance you want to get.
If we
Right,
brought it
yeah.
back, that means they would have to probably move their building back a little bit.
And from a sound perspective, I mean, you could build one type of building 100 feet and have no sound issue, and build another type 500 feet and have all kinds of sound
Have the
issues.
worst sound.
Yeah, so it's, that's where the requirement that they study it prior to
model, right?
construction comes into play.
Okay, do we have nods of approval to let Andy continue on then?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Salary, or is that, they were tied together?
Those were all tied.
Yeah, they're all tied together.
So,
I think we're up to Willow Springs. Do we want to talk about Willow Springs?
Is that next?
yeah, the only thing on Willow Springs is that Shane had brought up with me the agreement with Manchester that deals with Willow Springs Road, and that agreement requires East Manchester to provides for East Manchester to maintain the road, and Manchester was supposed to provide share in the cost of that maintenance. And I only put it on here just to bring to everyone's attention that agreement, whether or not the township, when the HOP application is ready, whether or not the township needs to share that with Manchester so that they're aware of what you're doing, because it is partially their road.
But it said in here that they would only contribute above the liquid fuels if it didn't cover repair.
Right, the question though is you're making a modification of a road that they own. The township has how do they, I believe the property line, or the municipal boundary goes right down the middle of it.
I thought it was off the side.
I've seen where it comes in and out, Andy. It doesn't go right down the middle.
Yeah, Shane called me about that yesterday, and I just started researching that to find out exactly. I always thought it was off to the one side. So I am looking into that to try to tie that in.
Is there, I don't see any harm in sharing it or doing this.
Well,
I know this came up with MRPI because,
Yeah.
and the conclusion then was that it went down the middle of the road, because there was a question whether or not the township really had any authority over their driveway permit, because their driveway is actually on the Manchester side of the road. I think what would probably make the most sense is Byron's got to put the HOP permit together. As part of putting the permit together, you're going to have to identify the municipalities and the municipal boundary. And from there, if it's entirely in East Manchester Township, there's probably nothing that needs to be done. If you're altering part of a road that's in Manchester Township, then you probably need their okay to do that.
Much like their.
PennDOT may require that.
On, if I may, unlike Manchester Township, anything that comes into a shared road like that, I think we should notify them and be transparent.
Oh, yeah.
Agreed.
So I included in my report just to make you aware that that agreement is out there. I think Byron's got to put together the HOP, and that in the process of doing that, he's going to have to figure out which municipalities.
Andy, have you showed this agreement to Manchester yet?
No, we haven't had any discussion. What I thought is let's figure out if it's something that's in both municipalities first.
I'm just giving you a heads up. I heard of this brought up in years past with other management. And it was said that they know of no such agreement. So I'm just giving you a heads up on that.
Manchester's not aware that this exists, is that what you're
That's
saying?
what I was told a couple of times.
Okay.
Well,
Are we talking about this agreement that I was looking at here? Well, you have it.
I have it. They say they never heard of it, so.
Yeah, under this agreement, they're supposed to be potentially sharing the costs of that maintenance, which I don't think is happening.
But who gets the liquid fuels?
We do.
We do, but
Well-
this agreement says
Anything
if
in
road
excess.
repairs exceed liquid fuels, Manchester would kick in. That's what I read.
So if
And
we
it's
get 10
exceeding liquid
If we get
fuels on that
$10,000
road.
for that, say we get $10,000 for that road in liquid fuels.
Right.
I wish to pave it in '26 for $400,000. We're really gonna have to split that cost somehow.
We would split 390,000.
Well, let's
Well,
see what the HOP says.
there is their signatures, Tim Horner
Very correct.
and Terry Gingrich
Yep.
came to that agreement, so.
Yeah, the agreement definitely exists. It's just something that, as we've discussed doing the cul-de-sac on Willow Springs Lane, it never came up. Right. Is that, can the township just unilaterally do that? And that's what we're trying to get to the bottom.
Well, two managers are gonna have to get together and hash this out.
That would be fun.
Cage match.
Invite him over, Kristen.
Yeah, invite him over to here.
That's
Okay,
all that.
yeah, that's all you have? Any questions for Andy on his
No.
report? Thank you, Andy. Let's go down to Byron's report.
First item is the Sherman Street PennDOT, just a quick update on that. So we had submitted everything for the storm sewer replacement. And I have a monthly meeting with PennDOT just to keep them up to date on what's going on. So, where we're at, the PNDI, there's one comment on the PNDI is that they asked for, a wetland delineation, so I reached out to this guy to try to explain to him is, this is not a new construction, we're just replacing pipe that's there. He has not gotten back to me yet. I just got these comments last week, like last Thursday. So I'm waiting for the guy, I will keep following up with him to say, we don't need a wetland delineation. It's something new that PennDOT all of a sudden has, and DEP started requesting. But again, it's not, I don't think it's applicable in this situation, so I'll work through that.
When are they moving equipment in, Byron? That's what I want to know.
Well, they are pushed out for another month or so, as far as, their work, and of course PennDOT's doing all the work there. So the last I had one comment left for the PennDOT permit, which I resubmitted, I got it and resubmitted it last week. They wanted a cross-section of the pipe. And I did that, and the guy from, this Farron Birch from dealing with, from PennDOT, our job was to get the PennDOT permit. He disagrees with what PennDOT, he's with PennDOT, by the way. He disagrees with what PennDOT's saying we need to do, because he wants to make our plan part of his plan. And I said, my deal is to get the PennDOT permit to redo this. I'm down to one comment, I'm going to get that, and then I'll let PennDOT fight amongst themselves as far as that goes. So, and then the other, I'll take that back. The only other comment that I have on PennDOT, and I just kind of talked to Andy, was they requested, did we have right of way? And I actually found the document of the dedicated right of way from Sherman Oaks that dedicated an additional 30 feet, which is plenty to put this pipe in.
Oh, good.
And where I don't have right of way is actually on, I guess, the Snyder property, is the end of the pipe by about 3 feet is outside the right of way. And I may have to reach out to Mr. Snyder just to say, hey, we want this one replaced. We're not extending the pipe onto your property. We're just replacing the pipe, and just somehow get an easement from him to fix that.
I don't foresee a problem with that.
Okay. So that's, as far as the Sherman Street, that's the update on the Sherman Street, just a couple minor comments at this point. Willow Springs cul-de-sac. So again, we kind of hit on some of this. First thing was that we looked at is to verify that all proposed grading and all proposed work is within the property that the township owns. I confirmed with Shane yesterday, I believe it was, that it is. For me to clean up my PennDOT permit, my property line, we found 3 property corners, but the one would be like a ½ inch off, so my surveyors are like tweaking it, so it does not adversely affect the adjoining property owners, to give him the benefit of the doubt. It doesn't affect us in any way. So he should have that done this week. That way I can finalize that. I did have a brief conversation with PennDOT. They gave me the contact information, who I need, what forms I need to fill out to close the road. And then the issue came up about Manchester Township, so my guys were working through that. They were working on that today, and I should have that worked out if any of that is in Manchester Township. So that's moving forward. I'm getting ready. PennDOT was all in favor of it when I had my Zoom meeting with them. So it's just jump through the hoops. Basically, they're all for it.
We're still going with plan of gating off
Yes.
that road.
Yep.
For
Yep.
emergency access.
Yes. So that's, again, PennDOT is all for that. Espresso Way. So at the last meeting, I brought a plan. I have it with me again. I showed you guys some plans, what needs to be done there to make that work. I had that Zoom meeting with PennDOT. They love the plan. They're all in favor of it. They did not recommend, the second part of that is changing the driveway a little bit on the Kinsley side. The reason for that was they feel that's more of a traffic calming if they leave it the way it is. So, and
They have to zig and zag.
yeah, a little bit. So they're for us. I actually sent yesterday or today, yesterday I guess it was, to Christie, the 950 AA form for her to sign. It says that the township's the applicant. She signed that. And then I also sent her the application for the signal light. One of PennDOT's recommendations was just change the timing a little bit on the signal light for the PM traffic, maximum traffic, that it would limit truck traffic to turn in a certain direction. So my guy's looking into that too.
So basically favoring the east to west movement.
Yes.
You know, Byron, if I can make a comment, the only good thing PennDOT's done that I heard of lately for a long time is that traffic calming thing across Expresso.
Right.
That makes sense. And
It does. So the plans are actually done. The applications are all now basically signed and filled out. I'm just trying to coordinate with PennDOT on this signal light. I mean, there's no changes to the, most 90% of the time, it's that PM peak traffic.
It's a programming thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's all it is.
Just a question. The speed limit on Expresso Way is still 25 miles an hour?
Yes.
Because we talked about changing that up to like 35. Does that come with this permitting or is that something later?
that's something, that takes a speed study.
Yeah, and I didn't
That's
do
a whole
anything.
different thing.
I just felt 25 seemed to be slow and I don't think folks are going 25 miles an hour down that road.
No, but they're going 10 to 15 over on Willow Springs, and it's becoming a death zone out there. So I say you leave it at 25, and if you're doing 30, 35, and nobody's bothering you, you're all right. But I think you go any higher.
You know better than I. But
Shane-
Willow Springs is a bit more hilly than what
It
Expresso
is.
Way is.
And we still do our traffic studies internally?
Yeah.
Okay.
So as far as Espresso, does the board want to see anything before we officially submit it? Other than, I mean, you've seen the plans, they're not changing.
I'm good with it.
I'm good with the plan.
I'm okay if I'm ready by Friday to submit that and keep this moving.
Say let them.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
When do we expect, I was going to do this in my comments, when do we expect to do Willow Springs? Is that this construction season or next?
The cul-de-sac?
Yeah,
This construction season, fall.
Yeah, I'm trying to line it up to get the base in, as far as stone wise. And then when we're ready, the overlay can be a day or two while we're shutting the gates down and finalizing it. But
So I'll say I'm slowing Shane down here a little bit because of two reasons. One was what I've already mentioned. Is all our work within our property? And I had that answer. And then the second is what's going on with Manchester Township. So I don't want to have him jump the gun until we
Right.
confirm everything.
So ballpark time frame, we talking end of summer?
yeah,
Yes.
June, July is when I have it. We have the high lift coming in from Peter's excavator, to give us a hand on that.
Sounds
so I just want to caution everybody that when we do close the gate, That's gonna be very controversial,
There'll be some
because
extreme-
I'm down through there, lately, I've been traversing through there around 3:30, 4 o'clock. And there is a lot of traffic that comes out there.
and it's
So
very
do we
unsafe.
want to do that before Espresso, after Espresso, before Regional Way opens up? It all,
I think it's very unsafe right now, Dave. I think sooner rather than later, I'm happy to take the heat, but that's me. I just think it's very unsafe down there.
I don't know, did the township have, I'm gonna jump back to Espresso, did we have a time frame for when that work's done? As soon as I get my permit?
yeah, that's But- why I was only getting it in stone. I was getting it ready, and I still needed it that final week when it all came together, but still thought we were waiting on.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Wait,
so-
did you
But
say
if- but-
espresso? We didn't get the money for espresso yet.
Right,
But if we close Willow and start, and then have construction on Espresso,
That's a bad thing. You're right. Fair point. Yeah,
I mean, we
logistics,
could
I'm
prep-
sorry, I forgot about the
we
logistics.
can
Okay.
prep, as far as Willow, at least what Shane was talking about, we can prep that site without having to close the road.
we can close the gate when things fall in line then.
Correct.
Okay.
At the right
Because
time.
you would almost wanna, I don't wanna say do it backwards, but you could always reopen Willow, but I think I wouldn't recommend
No,
that.
I think, I forgot about the logistics of working on Espresso, so we should get Espresso reconfigured the way it needs to
Right.
be before we close on.
Espresso's like a week or so ahead of my Willow Springs permit.
Because they can open a regional to Canal. We still have Bear.
Yeah,
So I just want to be able to make sure the workers can get to and from
yes.
work.
Well, then my question is, how far do I take the cul-de-sac? Am I just stone? Am I taking it to binder course?
As long as the gate's there, we can open the gate or close the gate. I don't see any reason why we shouldn't.
Well, I think the concern is
What you're missing
wasting
is-
time
you have-
and
Yeah,
money, right?
the final overlay has to go over existing roadway. I think that's what everybody's forgetting.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
yeah,
So it's, to me, I guess, why don't you come back to us with what your recommendation is? Because I would say that from a safety standpoint, while I'd love to see it closed sooner rather than later, we need to get Espresso configured properly to allow for that traffic movement. And so why don't you just take that into consideration, working with Byron, Shane, and just come back and say, here's my timeline of how I want to roll this out.
I mean,
Sounds
I'm
good.
not planning on, I'm, the emergency access that we, for the, where we gate, it's gonna be, I'm not digging out that road. I'm leaving that Willow Springs that
Oh, no,
way.
no, we are. But who's putting in them emergency access gates? That's a lot of work right there.
Yeah, but what
So-
what I'm saying is, if we have to open up, and again, I'm not recommending this, but if we would have to open the
Yeah,
gates
totally.
We could
while
toll
we're
it.
constructing
Easy pass.
Espresso, Willow Springs is still at the width and slope and everything as it is now, for the most part.
They could roll around that corner
Yes,
with the cul-de-sac.
yes, we might have to put temporary, I don't want to say barricades, but cones up or something there to narrow, to cut off the cul-de-sac to say, here's our travel lanes. It's a detour plan, is what I'm saying.
That's a great idea, though. We should toll that road.
build a little toll booth there.
Not, no toll booth, electronic in the gate raises.
And then Shane and I, it's probably on his report, Shane and I have been working on
I've seen it on yours.
Okay, the bridge, we're working on the Chestnut Street Bridge to get that repaired. I think that Shane and I both have had enough conversations that we have an idea. Hopefully everything works out on Monday when we talk about it again.
I think we both lost enough sleep over it.
Yeah.
Is that it, Byron?
Yes.
I'd like to, I don't know, am I allowed to mention Orchard Business Park Phase 2, Lot 3?
Yeah, because it is formally submitted. Wait, lot 3. Lot 2. Phase 2,
Two.
lot 2.
Sorry, my eyes. 2.
Oh, yeah.
Where, Byron, there was conversation with Lehman and how hard we're gonna be about not having Emergency route around the building?
They are, doing that. They are going to, fix it so that it will be the whole way around the building. When we mentioned it at planning commission, so the concern was around the front building, the smaller building, when or if the future exit ever came in, it would take away the second driveway. Right now, the way the plan is showing, it's hard to visualize when it's not in front of you, but basically Bear Road will come in and go to a cul-de-sac, and off of Bear Road, there's gonna be two driveways that would go around that building. But when, the exit would go in, that top,
It would take that one way.
right, it would be, that connection would no longer be there. So what we asked them to do is to make it full circle around to that first driveway. Excuse me, so that there's a full loop around that building.
So Joe
They agreed.
Stevens can get his fire trucks around the building completely.
We didn't get the latest submission, but at the planning commission, they did agree to that.
Okay,
Mhm.
answers my question. Well, that takes us to, who's this? Zoning Enforcement, Codes Enforcement Officer, Kate Snyder. Any questions for Kate Snyder on her report?
I don't have anything further unless somebody has a question.
Certificates of occupancy issued, so 3 commercial industrial, who were they? You don't remember?
You'd have to look at the report.
Okay, never mind. I see that the cafe up there, the facade's all finished up. We missed our window of opportunity to cut down on the amount of driveways coming into that place, did we not?
Which one's that?
Up at the Manchester Cafe.
We can't because
I
we
know.
keep properties.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, there's property issues, line issues.
yeah, well, that's, got to know what you're doing up there when you're going from cafe over to Sheets.
Oh, that won't happen much longer.
Yeah. Okay, any questions for Kate?
None.
Okay, any for the codes enforcement? The L and I audit.
So the L&I audit occurred last year, at the beginning of '24 for the previous 5 years. Um, we had a good audit. They just, and the guy verbally tells me this every year or every time he comes and does the audit, that they are required to find something wrong. So all of the items listed on the 3 projects, which actually the first project that they picked was our township garage. They did not find any issues with that. The other 2 projects were all very, things that could have changed after the inspection. So for instance, the pounds of a door, you know, when you push it open is supposed to be a certain amount of pounds so that it's light for ADA compliance, you know, if you're not very strong. But if they're not calibrated every 6 months, the poundage increases on that door. Well, heck, that inspection was done years after that this one was for Planet Fitness. So, I mean, once again, the guy looked at me and said, we look for anything. He was measuring from floor to bottom of like the sanitizer, you know, dispensers that are mounted on the wall and things. So anything. And, but otherwise, it was a pretty good L&I audit on our behalf because we don't do those inspections. We produce all of the administration, which there were no comments on our administration because it was all done very well. We produced, you know, all the stamp permits, and all the certificates of occupancies listing all of the inspections and things, so we did good in our part. All of our inspections are contracted out to Commonwealth Code Inspection Service, so, all of these notes are in regards to building code. That's all I have.
Okay.
I'm not sure, and I could defer to Andy, but, is the board supposed to motion to acknowledge an audit or no?
So they, they can accept the motion to accept the findings.
Okay,
of the audit, then there's something officially on the record that they reviewed it and accepted it.
okay.
I'll make a motion, we accept the findings of the building code L and I audit.
Second that.
Nah, the years.
Yeah, that's how the years I'm looking.
So I think I wrote the years wrong. I think it's 2019 to 2023, because it's a 5-year audit, and they
Yeah,
came in
review
at the
was
beginning of
March.
24.
I'm sorry, Chrissy, it says here in their cover letter, it's a 5-year audit.
Yep,
Review was on March 21st, 2019.
that was our previous audit date.
Previous, sorry.
But yes, that would have been for the previous 5 years, so it would have been 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23 would have been the 5 years, 19 to 23.
Okay, I'll put that into my motion that,
Okay.
19 to 23. Still have that second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Takes us to the financial audit.
Well, can we back up to Republic Service?
Oh, yeah, we did
Where?
miss that.
Where?
It's on the
Ten
agenda.
point four.
I don't have a 10.4.
I don't have 10.4.
Well, it's not a number in there because there was no documents to go with it in your books, but on your agenda there is. Sorry about that, guys. Got you all tripped up. But go ahead, Daryl.
Hey, there's 10.4, Darrell.
Yeah. We've been having issues in front of my area with them here on Sherman Street with their missed services, not completed services, et cetera. I've been working with Andy on this, and also the staff has been corresponding. And, I mean, they've been quite accommodating to try and get this corrected. But I'm a little disgusted with how often this happens over here. I don't know if it happens in anyone else's area. I haven't heard any complaints from anybody else, but I'm quite aware of what's going on. Yes. And then, I mean, I don't know if there's any, you know, ordinance or in the contract or anything in the future we should look at a way of penalizing them for this kind of issue. I know they have employee problems, and matter of fact, one time they said the employee just didn't want to pick up ours in the township. Oh, the township trash that thing.
And that guy had quit too.
Yeah, he quit.
And and then the next piece to this, Andy, is that they correct it within 24 hours of us telling them about it. So they are correcting it, but it just keeps, or it seems to keep happening.
Yeah, the contract has standards for their performance. I don't know if, I would have to go back, we'd have to pull the contract out or the bid specs out and see if some of those, they only get so many violations before, like, they can't just keep correcting them. And if it's an ongoing, I mean, if there are particular things or ongoing problems like that, then trash specs can be written that, kind of like the weed ordinance, they get, you know, one notice per year. After that, it's just a violation. They don't have to be notified every time, so.
Because we have another year coming up. July starts our fourth
Yes.
year, and then we could pick up the fifth year if we wanted to. So 25/26 is the last year of the contract unless we wish to extend it one more
Correct.
year.
Yep.
But maybe that's something we should look
Well,
at.
let me ask this question.
Start documenting, and letting them know, hey, this is a violation.
We do have all the email correspondence
yeah.
as our database
Right,
at
but
this
do we
time,
have the
but
contractual requirements, you know, basically their SLAs? You know, what their key
We
performance
have
thing
that in
measures
the
are that
contract.
they have to do so that we know that, like Andy was saying.
yeah, they have all that. That's not a formal notice.
No, but I mean, are
Right.
we tracking it so that we could go out and be like, you know, hey, in the contract it says if you do this more than 3 times, then there's a penalty for that. Because that's really what you're saying, right, Andy? Yeah. So that's something, if it's in the contract, we should definitely measure, hit them up for it. I guess my question is notwithstanding the renewal periods. Would it-
Section 2.08 of the contract has the standards that they have to abide by, and the fines, and sets out the fines. Yeah, and, I mean, the fine for failure to complete their collections on a regular route is $1,000 per day.
Oh.
And there's no, like, they don't they don't just get the option of coming back and picking up the next day. So,
That would
Yeah.
kick in after Wednesday, so to speak, of their pickup day. They would be in violation Thursday morning because it wasn't picked up Wednesday.
Unless there's an act of God.
failure to collect waste properly placed prior to the regularly scheduled collection time, the sum of $1,000 for each location.
Wow.
We
See,
just,
those are important to track.
we just have to remember though, that we do want a bidder
Yeah.
for our trash contract.
Well, again, I go, much like, in my day job, company I work with, we sign up for requirements, and trust me, at the end of every month, those things aren't met. The clients are taking it off your bill. That's how that stuff works in the industry I work in, generally speaking. So in this, if there's 5 or 10 of them, we should have them listed in some spreadsheet, and as complaints roll in, document, and hit them up.
So would we invoice them
Yeah.
then? Because we don't have
Yeah,
a.
you don't pay the bill,
Right.
the residents are, but as Andy's saying, there's definitely, performance requirements in there. And it's like, as long as you can document, right?
Right.
The incidents,
Well,
be able to-
that's not a problem, that part of it. Can you send me the template of that, please? Because then if I send them the formal notice,
you
then
can
I
include
can
that
just,
excerpt from the contract that says,
yeah.
here you go, you signed up for these things.
And then I can just start fining them each time
You
with see, that's the other thing, is that's why I haven't been, is because they seem to always have a reason. And it's employee related, and we all know that that is a thankless job. Nobody wants to be a trash pickup guy. I mean, their turnover rate is high in all those businesses, not just Republic.
I think
You
the
know what I
importance
mean?
there is to remind them of that, and you could always take a pass, but it's kind of like, like baseball, right? You get 3 strikes, you don't get 4.
Mhm.
So where do you draw that line? All there is here is the
They've
contract
also, they've
stipulates that.
lost York City's contract, so what happened to those employees that
Exactly.
pick up York City's trash?
And I guess my question is if it feels like some parts of us are unhappy, in all likelihood, anybody we get is going to be more costly. So, do you want to pull the trigger and do request for proposals sooner? Doesn't, correct me if I'm wrong, just because you do it, it doesn't mean you void your other option years under that contract.
Yes, that's true. You would have to bid it, in advance, and still exercise your option. I think you're required, to exercise the option 6 months in advance. So
Probably time to start the process gearing up, right?
if you want to go out and bid it, I don't know I haven't seen any bids come in recently. I don't know. I mean, EMC Services is establishing a location in East Manchester Township because I think they do intend to bid on other contracts. Right now, they only have the city, but I think they do intend.
And the only other thing I have is on their flyer, we made that suggestion.
Mhm.
I would ask, can they stick that word free in there? That may prevent a lot of electronic stuff being ended up on Gut Road or someplace. I mean, it says, he did put in there, refer to
Their
County Solid
website.
Waste Authority and .com, whatever, like I suggested, but I think we need to put the word free in there so people understand, are they gonna look at the website if they don't know if it's gonna cost them or anything? Whereas we say disposable electronic items are, free, check out the website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why he didn't put that in there, but I know that Deb came to me and said, hey, the suggestion that came in about, the Solid Waste Authority, not everything is free. It's just the electronic, so we can't mislead them, which right here, the way he
That's
did it,
where,
I don't
yeah,
think
it's
it would
stated
be
there's
misleading.
electronic
Right,
stuff. And that's by state law, they can't take it.
right.
Okay.
Yep, no problem.
That's
I
it.
can do that.
I have a question. Back to trash. So do you want us calling Christie when our trash isn't picked up?
I don't, I call them.
I mean, that's what Howard does, we call them. But how else is she gonna track,
That's true.
Deb,
you
call
know,
Deb.
how else does she
Yep.
track that? And then,
Well,
again,
we
Send an
okay, so
email.
then you're gonna invoice them $2,000, then when you get that money back, you're gonna share that with the residents.
I knew where you were going with that.
You'll get a check for 19 cents.
Yeah.
That's not how that works, but.
So that just means the township can make more money. Okay.
Well, it's put in there for the right reasons, to penalize a contract that's not living up to what they agreed to do. That's the whole purpose of it.
But I agree with Dave Naylor here that if we do that too much, what's that gonna look like on our future bids? Yeah, and so you
Well,
do
then
wanna
they-
be careful
then-
there.
Here's the thing, so. You put
I don't
it,
get upset with the day if they come back on Thursday, say we'll pick it up on Thursday. Big enough stuff to you get like that.
Sounds like
and I agree
Carol
with you,
needs
my
to tip
point
the
is
driver
the
better
way,
at Christmas time.
Double up your trash next week.
the point that I'll make is a function of looking at the SLAs that are in the contract and ask the question, are they reasonable and appropriate? Is it something that, one, there's no ambiguity and you can measure, and when do you draw that line? Is one an immediate failure? And the way some of that is, looking over Andy's shoulder, it looked like it was like immediate failures. And so for that, it may be worth talking to the trash vendors, because clearly the marketplace has changed. Prices have gone up. As you say, labor turnover for them is very high. So I think part of it would be probably going out and, like request for information or something like that, or at least feedback, to talk to them and find out what would you like to see, whether we accept what they write.
Yeah, what we've normally done with every bid cycle is we know who's going to bid on the contract, so we've met independently with each of them. It's certainly biased, but they will tell us if you put this in, the bid's gonna come in higher. If you take this out, the bid's gonna
Like
be
Mount
lower.
Wolf in their minutes,
I turned all those
they
on.
said that they only got
Oh,
one
no,
bidder
no,
in
it's to do.
because someone refused to bid because they didn't require coders. They wanted the plastic cans out there so that their trucks could come through with the automatic arms and pick them up. Or not bid.
Because then it takes two people to run it.
Yeah, exactly. So,
They're still manually.
They don't even use that.
but the point is you're right. If you do too many SLAs and charge someone, it does send a bad message. So all I'm saying is, next time we do this, we ask questions of what they want to see.
Calling them on it, telling them, hey,
Yeah.
you gotta do better.
Well, and again, it's a function of, it's in there for protection so that we get the services that our residents are paying for.
I don't
And
think
we
the answer
contract.
is to be calling Christie
I think what.
every week to say my garbage didn't get, I mean, they
No,
don't
but
need that
there's,
here.
you could send an email into the general email address, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a form on our website?
We have a concern form. Mhm.
There you go.
And then just, I'd like to so note that I do threaten them with a fine. I mean, I do put it in the email that, hey, we're getting pretty tired of this, please do better.
Well, I think that has to be documented in itself, so we can
Mhm.
use this as a negotiation ploy
Mm-hmm.
for the next time. Say, hey, look,
But
we're
the
having
excerpt of the
complaints.
contract, because most likely the person you're dealing with probably has never seen the contract.
Well, actually, it is the guy who does the contract. So
Clearly he doesn't pay attention to it.
but yes, it is him. It's the guy who came to your meeting and everything.
Just FYI, Scott Wagner started KBS garbage service. He has 8 trucks doing roll-offs right now. So he may be in the market in a year or to bid again.
Good.
That's all I have on the public.
Okay, thank you, Darrell. Okay, why don't you lead us in the discussion of the EMT financial audit?
It was a clean audit. What?
Yeah, it was, a clean opinion. I have a couple comments on it.
Well, you can, but it was a clean audit. We had all of our ducks in a row as we were supposed to. And they always compliment us administratively that how organized we are. But then, yes, when you get into the financial highlights, you know, and I can, do you want me to read off, or Dean, would you like to just go right into it?
You can, sure.
So the financial highlights of 2024, the assets of the township exceeded its liabilities at the close of the fiscal year ended December 31st, 2024 by 4,278,000. It's greater than that number, 1,000 net position. The township's net position decreased by a little bit more than 1.7 million from the December 31st, 2023 total net position of $5,900,000. It's greater than that. The majority of the township's net position is unrestricted and available for future spending. The fund balances decreased in the general fund by greater than 1.6 million from greater than 3.6 million to more than 1.9 million as of December 31st of 24. And then the general fund exceeded its budget expectations by a little bit more than 2 million, which was mainly due to our capital expenditures for the building. But in a nutshell, and I can read you what the it's a pretty good summary in here. The township continues to experience challenges meeting a balanced budget, particularly in the general fund as capital expenditures continue to rise and economic factors affect the prices of labor, materials, and supplies. The requirement to fund and improve infrastructure also creates budgetary stress. And then, of course, it summarizes basically what we did, which was we raised the fire fund from 0.11 mils to 0.15 mils because of the rising water utility costs. And then we also have a nice summary for what we want to do going forward, which is the township plans to conduct a thorough review of its free cash flows moving forward to assess the feasibility of accelerating payments on the 2024 loan. And then additionally, the township is in the process of developing a capital expense fund specifically for significant capital expenditures, which will be managed separately from the general budget. A final decision on that matter is expected by this year in preparation for 2026.
So just a couple things that jumped out. Yes, it's clean opinion, which we've always had, which basically means these financial statements fairly present the revenues and expenses that the township has incurred during that fiscal year. Under the income statement, they show taxes, and they only label it as property. But further on in the notes, they indicate that local earned income taxes are significant generators. So to me, that's just a slight cosmetic mislabeling in the income statement there. You mentioned about the capital fund. There's a couple comments about things that need to happen going in the future, some new pronouncements coming about how things need to be recorded. I scanned through those, so I don't think anything to hurt us. It's just additional information that needs provided in the financial statements as we move forward. I have a couple notes highlighted in here, and I assume Christy will put this up on the website for folks.
It is there, yep.
Already there?
Yep, and a copy out in the lobby.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
No, it's good audit, as always. That's all I have.
Okay, anything else, Christie, on that?
I don't have anything else except for just in discussions, really, you know, the auditor did express that we haven't raised our taxes in a significant amount of time. And, you know, that's certainly not a good practice. So, but that's really all I have to add.
Okay. So then, I think I'd like to make a motion to accept the findings of the 2024 financial statement audit done by Hamilton and Musser, I believe it was.
That's correct.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have motion second discussion. I find it slightly unusual that an auditor would mention that unless it's really glaring that he sees something that we should do in the future. But that's to be discussed at a later time, but it's interesting.
Yeah.
So I'll call for the vote. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Okay. That takes us to Shane's report. Any questions on my report? No, I don't have any. Does anyone have any?
No, I'd just say you guys did a great job of crack seal down Canal Road extended.
It's gonna be Mike right here soon.
Okay.
I have a couple other things, just kind of announcements. I can't remember who it was last month brought up about the stop bar at Locust I did. Point. Was it you, Mr. Naylor? Yeah. I think somebody in the audience said something about it too, or something. The road crew, we did move the stop bar back. We moved it back 5 feet, which is what PennDOT's allowing us to do right now on a trial-based period for that. So anybody that goes out there, let me know if it helps. It is a good distance. I'd rather went further, but you get into timing cycles and light changes and things like that to do that. But we are testing it for now before we change the permit for the traffic. So let me know how if anybody sees anything or if they think it helped at all, anything like that. Next thing I have is the bridge on Canal Road, just past Bear Road, that the weight restriction was put on 2 years ago, maybe? Year ago, maybe? Yeah. They are now dropping it to 20 tons. I believe it's at 29 now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what the sign says out there.
Yeah. So they're restricting it even more, down to 20 tons. And I think Christie said, Mr. Noah, you did check on the school buses, ain't you? Yeah, they're under that. Okay. Last thing, so people were asking what's going on. I don't know if anybody's been out Starview Road lately. So Columbia Gas is upgrading some of their lines. They actually come up from Liverpool Drive or Liverpool Lane down there, and it's going to go the whole way to Sherman Street and a little bit down Dellinger and up Ford Gillport down there. So there is construction going on. They do have flagging.
That's correct.
Yeah, which you're in. So.
Yep.
Those were just some announcements. The last thing I have, gentlemen, is I'm asking for a reimbursement, Christie.
Yes,
Okay.
you're asking to reimburse the liquid fuels tax fund.
In the amount of $8,557.86 from our general fund.
It's due to the audit, right?
It is due to the audit. The one thing I missed, I believe this was Blossom Drive, so it would have been 2 years ago. The audit was 2 years ago. Yeah, we utilized one of the contractor's trucks to keep the blacktop rolling faster, but I missed it before it went to liquid fuels. It's something I would have just paid out of the general fund, but because it got missed and put into liquid fuels, now we had to reimburse
And
it.
the auditors came in and they
That's what
disallowed it. Bottom line is had you caught it at the time, you would have paid for it out of general fund, not there.
Yeah.
So left pocket, right pocket type of thing.
Yeah, I knew that when it happened. I just missed it before it went to
Do you have the figure?
liquid fuels.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we reimburse the liquid fuels tax fund in the amount of $8,557.86.
I'll second the motion. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's all I have.
You want to speak on the S curves? and a skid?
Yeah, so what we call the S curves on Sherman Street, I believe one of the most dangerous intersections we have, or part of the roads we have in this township. PennDOT just put down a special, anti-skid, I don't even know what you call it, you know what
Yeah.
that stuff
Is
is?
that by John Rudy Park where you're talking down the?
No, it's
The
right past
S-curve
Wentz's garage.
above Jerusalem School Road to the west is up in there.
I asked, I asked a couple
We have a
years
lot
ago
of
for that.
accidents there.
Yeah, so we're hoping that
For a
helps.
couple years.
This is a project I believe Christie took 3 years
Yeah.
to, for PennDOT to do a project that was done in a day. I'll keep my opinions to myself on that matter. That's all right, I got my soapbox ready. Hopefully this fixes what we believe is one of the most dangerous spots we have in this township. We've been dealing with that for, like you said, 3 years. I think we should have some kind of, something on the website
Oh, like a little blurb?
saying that, yeah,
Okay.
that's what we've done. To let people know that
For the S
you might roll the truck over going around there now when it's wet.
Might have went the other way.
Yeah.
The only comment I have to add to Shane's report is that I wish people were more cognizant of what road they're complaining about, whether it's a state road, PennDOT road, or whether it's a township road. Shane gets many, many calls, and they're complaining about a PennDOT road.
So I actually have that on the website, on the homepage
Yeah.
and on the Public Works page in 2 places that explains the difference in which roads are
We
which.
used to have a list of state roads and township
We
roads.
still do,
Mm-hmm.
they're still on there. I
Yep.
Is it on the website?
Yep.
Oh, very good. Thank you.
Yep, it doesn't work.
Yeah, we're still the first call.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is that it?
That's because you answer the phone.
Speaking of township roads, talk to me about Manchester Street.
What would you like to know?
When?
This summer.
This summer,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
all right.
Yeah, we got some prep work to do yet, and then as soon as Kinsey's ready, yep. That's all I have, and if you don't have any more questions.
Any questions for Shane? What's this, Manchester Canal?
Yeah,
Tim
about the
James.
tonnage. And then, we do need a motion to accept the findings on the liquid fuels tax, fund audit, which otherwise was a clean audit, just with that one hiccup.
Okay, and that's the April 2025 audit of our township of East Manchester's liquid fuels tax fund audit, and I make a motion that we accept the audit findings.
What years did you say?
Right here, it says April 2020.
22 to 23.
Okay, it's January 1st, 2022 to December 31st, 2023.
Yep.
I'll second that.
Thank you for the correction, Darrell. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Where are we at? We're down at the accountant. We all reviewed the Manchester and Malvern Borough minutes. It's not in my thing, but it comes down to the subdivision and land development plans. Okay, we'll go to supervisor comments. Dean,
Attended the PSATS conference last week, learned a lot of good things in general, did a little investigating for some playground equipment and things of that nature. And we do have we having a budget meeting this week?
Yes.
Thursday,
Thursday morning, is it?
9
At
o'clock.
9 a.m.
9 o'clock. So we'll see a few folks there, I'm sure.
Mhm.
That's all I have.
The budget meeting you're referring to is we enacted that we are, hopefully quarterly, or we're gonna go over a state of affairs for our finances and, look where we're at year to date, that sort of thing. And we felt that was prudent to do that with, everything, so.
And
thank
they
you
are
for that.
public meetings.
Yes, public meetings. Darrell?
Okay, a couple things, Christie.
Yes.
Can we add zoning hearing board decisions and planning commission minutes to the website? Or is there a reason why we don't?
planning commission minutes do get added to the website,
Okay, I
but
missed that.
they don't get added until
The
after
meeting.
they're approved. And
Yeah.
it's been slim that they even
Yeah.
have those meetings, so it does look like, there's nothing there, but it's because they don't have any really, lately.
Can they come in for 5 minutes the next meeting and approve that and then adjourn?
No,
Zoom call.
no, no. Thank you, Ed.
Maybe,
President has spoken.
maybe you can do a Teams meeting on the phone. Okay.
And then the zoning hearing board, well, that very rarely meets as well, but, minutes aren't actually taken because it's
No, I'm saying
stenographer.
about the decision. I
Oh,
think
the
we should
decision
post the
itself.
decision.
We can't post that decision, until the zoning hearing board, approves it is all, but
Yeah.
yeah, I suppose so, we could do that.
It'd give people out there, oh, look, this got approved, or, oh, that got denied, maybe I shouldn't file mine.
Mm-hmm,
Just general information.
sure.
Okay, and then the minutes on our website, when you look at the monthly minutes, it just scroll. Can we put them in yearly folders? Like all 2023 goes in.
Shouldn't that be part of
more.
a redesign of the website?
Yeah, so, that is something that I'm, gonna be, including with our budget meetings is we need to account for a redesign of our website to meet ADA compliance per the law that's been enacted. And we have until, I believe sometime in the beginning of 27 to do that.
I think it's in the 26.
Right, so I was thinking we'd just do it in 26 to be ahead of the game. But yes, right now, the way that the website is, if you're okay with it, I'd rather just not pay someone to do it when we're gonna redesign it soon.
Yeah, it's April 26th to 27.
That's it. Yep.
Okay, that's good. And then at that time, can we make it searchable? So if I want to go in and look for Gut Road, what we discussed in Gut Road, I can type in Gut Road and it'll come up with all the.
We can ask when we build.
Yeah,
when
we can
redesign.
ask. That sounds like it would be,
It's searchable. The PDFs that we put out there, as long as they're not.
it's called OCR, and
Yeah.
it picks up every word in a document.
But it's goes beyond that because our minutes are produced by taking a word,
Yep.
Microsoft Word,
And
converting to
converting it.
PDF, so it doesn't need to go through OCR, but that search engine would pick it up, generally speaking. So that'd be one of the requirements that we would put in the redesign of our website.
And that would help you if you had to go back and research something.
Absolutely.
Wait, I thought I heard Steve laughing somewhere.
May 15th, besides our quarterly budget meeting, May 15th is National Police Officers Memorial Day. Flag should be half-staff at that day. I know Shane always takes care of that. And then the last thing I have is we discussed in the past, we made motions. Well, I think we should look at and get, we have 2 trees that we wanted to plant for Johnny Bear and Steve Gross.
Yeah.
So I think we should move forward with that and have that research and see what kind of trees we want to put up.
Great. Okay, I'm on my PennDOT, where's the camera? I'm on my PennDOT stuff. That I think our District 8 roads are terrible, that's my opinion. Case in point is the paving that you did down through the boroughs of Manchester and Mount Wolf. For a while, I could not believe that people were accepting that outcome of that pavement, as rough as it was. I already discussed about future development on the Gross property, if we can prevent trucks from going south to the borough. I just don't think we get anything out of PennDOT. I don't know, you work with them every day, Shane. You have a different opinion of PennDOT, but the signs for up there at your corner, it's totally ridiculous. They needed to send someone up to Harrisburg to pick the signs up at the sign shop and bring them down. I mean, if you're in Route 30 lately, they're doing at every intersection raised curbs. Now that looks like a recipe for disaster to me. People running into those, but okay, that's all I have for PennDOT. But kudos to our staff, our office staff. I'll start with them. They do an outstanding job. I asked before I had cataract surgery yesterday, and I asked Christie to make something big print for me, and she did. Said she did. But they do a tremendous job up front, and in the back, Shane has everything running like a Swiss clock back there. Things are getting done. I'm proud of this township. I really am, compared to other townships, so thank you. Thank you to all staff. So it takes me to,
Great, now we'll be coming in for raises.
make a motion to, do I still do that? Make a motion to approve and pay all bills?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there any other comments from the public at all? Yeah, yeah, I do understand that Conowag is, I heard 3. It's important for people to know, I go on Facebook and I read what's on Facebook, it's entertainment. I don't post anything. But it's important for people to know that I can speak for us. We make our developers jump through hoops, man, and you can't stop them. They'll take you to court, and they got big bucks, they can fight us, and it's just, I wish we could do more, but. Right. We did, we did, that's our bad. Yeah. In the past, we did.
Over at DHL, you probably see, maybe you were over the tour, you can't go back to that building there. We gave them away for that.
Yep. And you know, what bothers me is it's out of greed, so they can put a bigger building in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So we're working toward, we're letting them tell us what to do. But on the other hand, I heard from somebody on the planning board that anything we do, they can fight us, and, you know, and I don't want to have Andy charge the township every month or something to go fight them.
Well, I think the important piece there is they can fight us if we don't follow our ordinances and Saldo rules, right? So if we give a waiver, if we give them a waiver to build a bank that can't be moved, that's on us. And I think we kind of stopped doing that.
It's been us in the past, and we're stopping, we stopped doing that.
It's a mindset change, and I think it's educational as, like anything, you know, you go back, 20, 25 years ago, and there wasn't all this stuff.
No.
You know, and so you learn as you go along, and you get burnt. Clearly, we got burnt with DHL, and so everyone.
I think it's Starbucks, I'm not sure where, we left them build right up to that fella's house. I mean, talk about the banks over DHL at my place.
Ollie's.
That my neighbor has a bank, like, wall.
You were talking about the old schoolhouse there?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
That's just wrong.
That's where we gotta learn from our mistakes.
My neighbor, you know, had to do not disclose deal with DHL. Nobody else knew what was going on. And he's gone. Now we have that, you know, the rest of the neighbors, they couldn't stand it, they would move down.
Bob,
I was told by an employee of FNS that the new bus company is going in on Locust Point Road where it strikes now. So if that's true, that's going to be a lot of bus traffic on Locust Point Road.
well, we need more traffic on Locust Point. Yeah. Any other comment? We're gonna recess or adjourn?
Recess.
Recess. I make a motion, we recess to executive session.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all for coming.
Choice.